Hello everyone and welcome back to Python lessons on Codecademy. So today we're continuing on with our third lesson on classes. Last time, or the time before last time, we talked a bit about inheritance and why we put object there. And today we'll be explaining a bit more on how that actually works. Last time I spelled my name. That's my name and it's pronounced like me, hey. And yeah, I know it has a weird, it sounds weird, but it's a Macedonian name. Beforehand, I will apologize about the rain sounds, but it is actually raining outside, if you can hear those. I don't think you should, but just in case. So, let's get started. Warning, be dragons. Here be dragons. Okay. Inheritance is a tricky concept, so let's go through it step by step. Inheritance is the process by which one class takes on the attributes and methods of another, or functions of another, but they're called methods in classes, and it's used to express an is-a relationship. For example, a panda is a bear, so a panda class would inherit from a bear class. However, a Toyota is not a tractor, so it wouldn't inherit from the tractor class, even if they have a lot of attributes and methods in common. Instead, both Toyota and tractor could ultimately inherit from the same vehicle class, or the car class could inherit from the vehicle class, and the Toyota class could inherit from the car class, and something similar for the tractor. So let's read the instructions and try and do what it's telling us. Check out the code in the editor. We've defined a class customer as well as a returning customer class that inherits from customer. Note that we don't define the display card method in the body of returning customer, but it will still have access to that method via inheritance. Click save and submit code to see yourself. Okay, so sorry. If you inherit a class, if you make a class by inheritance, then this new class inherits everything that's in the body of your old class. So this class inherits all of this, basically. So you don't have to say any of this, it's all already there, without already in the body of this class. You don't have to say it because you've inherited everything that's in the customer class. But in your new inherited class, you can add on new things to make it more specific for a certain use. Such as if you have a returning customer, you might want to say welcome back. If you have a new customer, then you might say welcome here or something, I don't know. So as we can see, we make a Monty Python to be a returning customer with the ID of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we tell Monty Python to display cart, and Monty Python is returning customer, and as we can see in returning customer we don't actually have the method which is called display cart, but we do in customer. So that's why we can make this line work in why this line actually works. And then we have the new method that we've defined in our new class, which is display order history, and we can also use that. So quickly, the lesson is whatever you inherit from, everything is inherited from that, and in your new inherited class you can add on new things. So let's move on. Inheritance syntax. In Python, inheritance works like this. So you have the class, you have the new class or derived class, and you have the base class or old class that you're inheriting from, and this is the inherited class. Where derived class, okay, so it actually tells us where derived class is the new class you're making, and base class is the class from which that new class inherits. On lines 1 to 4, we've created a class named shape. Okay, so create your own class triangle that inherits from shape like this. Okay, so let's do that. And inherits from shape. Then inside the triangle class, write an initialize function that takes 4 arguments: self, side 1, side 2, and side 3. Okay, so we actually need to make our own initialize new, compared to the example before. We didn't need to make our new initializer. So we need self side 1, side 2, and side 3. And that's actually supposed to be define the method. Okay, so inside the initialize function set self side. Okay, so let's just copy that and put it in new lines because it's quite a lot to write out. Without the and, of course. There we go. And is that all it wants us to actually do for now? I think it is. Yes, it is. Let's just check out the hint and see what it's trying to tell us. Okay, so we did the exact same thing as it's telling us. I think that it should actually make that red like it does in the example. Why doesn't it do that? That's kind of annoying. Okay, let's move on. Override. Sometimes you'll want one class that inherits from another class to not only take on methods and attributes of its parent, but to override one or more of them. So, okay, does it explain? Let's see. Rather than have a separate greet underling method for our CEO, okay, let's actually see what this does. So class employee and object. Then we initialize that class or our instance of that class by calling it the name that it's called. Then we say hello and name. Then we make our new class, which is CEO, but inherits from employee, if I can pronounce that correctly, and define greet. So we make a new method, although it might work differently, which it does, because we're overriding it, i.e. changing it. And in this case, instead of saying hello name, it says get back to work name, whatever the name of that employee was, or that CEO actually. Then we say that the CEO is called Emily, the employee is called Steve, and this is going to print what's going to print? Get back to work. No, it's emp.greet CEO. Yeah, that's going to say get back to work Emily, whereas or not, wait, emp CEO, why does it do that? That's confusing, because we made a CEO and we said greet CEO. That's weird. I think that it should be, I think that's actually wrong. I don't think it's going to work like that. Honestly, don't think it's going to work like that. Then we say CEO.greet emp, where emp is the employee and is Steve. That one should say hello. And okay, I think that Codecademy might have got this wrong. I'm not sure though. So rather than have a separate greet underling method for our CEO, we override or recreate the greet method on top of the base employee greet method. This way we don't need to know what type of employee we have before we greet another employee. So we need to create a new class called part-time employee. Okay, that inherits from employee. Oops, I need colon, not semicolon, colon. Give your derived class a calculate wage method, so we don't actually need to initialize, because we inherit the initialize. Calculate wage with self and hours, and it's just hours, not hours spent. Okay, so it should take okay, because part-time employee calculate wage overrides employee calculate wage, it still needs to set self.hours to equal hours. So okay, so that's not copied. Everything in the body of our new method is just destroyed. So if you make a new method if you're overriding a method, and you make a new method, then it overrides it, from what I understand. So it should return the part-time employee's number of hours worked multiplied by 12. That is, they get $12 per hour instead of 20. So well, it's telling us to do this. So let's see if that's fine. Yes, it is. So we've inherited from this class, we've inherited the initializer, so we don't need to make an initializer. And then we inherit this method, but because we're making a method called the same thing as our old method, it overrides it as well as everything in the body. So this method doesn't even exist in this class anymore. And we make it a new method which returns hours times 12 instead of hours times 20. So let's move on. If any of this doesn't make sense, then do feel free to ask in the comments. This looks like a job for... okay, I hope that sentence is finished. On the flip side, sometimes you'll be working with a derived class or subclass and realize that you've overwritten a method or attribute defined in that class's base class, also called a parent or superclass, that you actually need. Have no fear. You can directly access the attributes or methods of a superclass with Python's built-in supercall. Okay, I hope that gets explained better. The syntax looks like, so derived base and define self, where you return, okay, I do understand now, where m is a method from the base class. So you define a new method, but you need the new method and the old method, but you might not really want the new method. Well, okay, let's actually do the example, and hopefully I can explain it better with the example. First, inside your part-time employee class, add a new method called full-time wage. Oops, not just the underscore. Okay, define full-time wage with, I'm guessing, self and something else, and hours. That method should return the result of a supercall. Did the supercall have parentheses? Yes, it did. To calculate wage. Method of part-time employees parent class. Use the example above for help. So we have derived and self. Oh, we don't put that there. So we put the part-time employee. So the name of our class, oops, not employee. The name of our class and self. Then dot calculate wage of our old one. Okay. So then after your class, create an instance of part-time employee called Milton. So it's too long of a function name, so we'll just do that. And don't forget to give it a name. Wait, what? Finally, print out. Wait, should we need to give it a name? I guess Milton, just Milton. We'll just call it that. Don't forget to give it a name. Finally, print out the result of calling his full-time wage method. You should see his wage printed out at $20 per hour. That is 10 for hours. The result should be 200. So it needs hours as well. And then we need to print full-time wage. So Milton dot full-time wage, I think. No. 2 arguments, 3 given. Okay, so we don't need the 10. Is that what it's telling us? That's a weird error. So cause the following exception: calculate wage takes exactly 2 arguments, 1 given. So calculate wage, self hours, but we only give it 1. So does it not need a name? I'm confused. What if we just put 10 there? I don't think that's going to work. Okay, sorry about this. I will come back in a second. So I found what the problem was, and that is if you're printing out what a method does, then like in a function, you need to put parentheses after it, and you also need to give it an argument, which in this case it wants us to do it as 10. So 10 hours, 10 times 20 is going to be 200. So let's see if it works, and as we can see, it prints 200.0 because we're using a float in this case. So if you have any questions or didn't understand some part of this lesson, then please feel free to ask in the comment section down below. I will be answering those as soon as I can. But until next time, please like, share, subscribe, comment, dislike if you didn't like the video, and tell me what I can improve. And until next time, I'm saying it for the second or third time this time, but oh well. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.